Life and business can be easy, but us silly humans love getting in our own way. My name is Nico Rapclis, and I've had a wild journey. From releasing traumas that I held on to for decades, to playing college athletics, working with multi-million-dollar brands, having a spiritual awakening, and now coaching incredible humans navigate their inner and outer world. The Just Grow podcast is my outlet to share and help others with life and business. After investing north of $100,000 into my personal and professional development, the Woo plus Do formula is what has served me best. A healthy combination of mindset, energetics, consciousness, spirituality, self-healing, and discovery, matched with a high-level strategy, principles, focus, optimization, and accountability to help you be, do, and have everything that has been placed in your heart. This podcast is for the impact-driven entrepreneur that is finally ready to start thriving internally and externally. Welcome to Just Grow. What up? My beautiful people, welcome to the Just Grow podcast. Nico Rapclis signing in here for another beautiful, special solo episode. A little hoarse, and I'll explain why that is here in a moment, but just want to welcome you into the Just Grow podcast, solo edition, solo episode. These are becoming ever so increasingly special to me because it's a time when I get to just let all my thoughts out, let all my words out, my feelings out, my expressions, and it's just a beautiful place for me to express. And I just appreciate anybody and everybody that is listening, and if this is giving value to you, amazing, because that is really my intention. I set an intention before I jump on any one of these episodes, and this one I just want the people listening. I'm going to be sharing probably a little bit more really what's been going on within myself in a lot of different aspects. Again, I never really know exactly where all these episodes are going to go. But I want you to feel understood, maybe a little less alone. Maybe you're having some of these experiences, these emotions, and you can know that other people are experiencing them as well. But really what I wanted to title this episode is Life is Messy. Oh man, life is messy. And so before we jump into that, I just do want to let you know, I never really know exactly when these are going to be launched. We're getting more of a system down, but if this is before January 5th and you haven't registered and you're not planning on coming to our Just Grow podcast live event on January 5th, then I strongly encourage you, go get your ticket. We have 50 spots available if there are still spots available. You can go to justgrowpodcast.com, and it's going to be a really special night of healing, transformation, and breath work, and a lot of different things. We're going to have a great conversation, open up for Q&A. We'll have a place for open networking afterwards, and it's just going to be a really special event. So we're really excited about that. Going to kick the year off right. So again, go to www.justgrowpodcast.com, and you can sign up there. All right. So with that said, for the people that are watching this on YouTube, you can see this poster behind me, and I'll explain it for the people that are just listening to this on the podcast platforms. But if you do want to see it, obviously come over to YouTube. Now, basically what this is, there's a guy that is walking, and he's got an umbrella, and he's like really tight. He's tense. He's got a briefcase. He's wearing slacks and a suit type of deal. And then there's just this little kid that's, a little bit to the right of him, and he's just soaking it all in. And what he's soaking in is the rain. It's a bunch of colored rain. And so I always like to ask people, like, what does that mean to you? And I get a lot of different responses. But one of the responses that I heard, and one that seems to be speaking so much more true to me, is that really what it represents in the initial look of it, what most people can perceive, is that it's like, it basically shows you how you want to perceive life. Do you want to, hide behind an umbrella, even though it's messy, even though it's rainy, even though it's wet, and not get wet and not get cold and just not experience it? Or do you want to just dance in the fucking rain and just soak it in, drink it up, lick it up? Right? Like, how do you want to approach life? Because here's the thing, is that no matter the way you decide you want to live your life, whether you're the guy that has the umbrella, or you're the little kid that just soaks it up, licks up the rain, like there's still going to be rain. And that's what I want to share and impart on you guys. And I also want to tell you, I'll probably close out this episode with something that will tie that all together. But I want to get into this. Life is messy. It's raining, right? And we have a choice whether we want to put up our umbrella or we just want to soak it in. And so I guess I'll just kind of like share a little bit of my story. For the people that do know me closely, and it's a tight-knit group, they know what has been going on in my life lately. And I've done my best to open up about this to my social media following and now to the podcast in very tiny bits, because I've been processing a lot. I don't know how far in depth I'll go into this. I'll more so just kind of explain the emotions that are going into it. I don't want to really involve too many other people. But ultimately, at the end of the day, is this past year, 2023, we were kind of joking around about it. Like, we got to find some meme where, it's just some guy just getting pummeled, but he just keeps on walking forward. He's just getting clocked left and right. Haymakers to the chin, left and right. Judo chop every once in a while, roundhouse kick every once in a while, but he keeps on moving forward. And that is how my 2023 has been. I'm really determined to find that meme. If anybody can find one that illustrates that, that would be incredible, because I really want to post that. I think it would be hilarious. But in more specifics, what are these roundhouse kicks and these haymakers that I've been just wearing on 2023? And that is, I've just had a huge year, a huge lesson, and a huge growth opportunity this year in terms of trust, and who to trust and who not to trust, and just being more discerning on who I want to give my energy to, who I want to be more protective with my energy around. And it's been challenging. It's been really challenging. Growing up, I had a great childhood and such loving family and parents, and in great communities, and never really had to deal with like trust or wondering on where to protect my energy. And I would say that was a huge blessing throughout my entire life. And now it's just interesting, because all of a sudden, here's what happened. Okay, and again, I'm going to tie the lesson all together here, and it's going to make complete sense, even though it is a really challenging lesson, is that I asked. Okay, ask and you shall receive. Ask and it is given. I asked God I wanted people more on my vibe. I wanted to continue to level up and develop relationships that were serving to me. And that's what I asked for, right? And so here's the thing, is that when you ask, you get what you ask for. You don't get it how you asked for it. So it's like you ask for this gift, but oftentimes the packaging is much different than what you anticipated, because God doesn't just go, oh, you want new amazing relationships? Here they are. He's more so, oh, you want new amazing relationships? I'm going to show you who you don't want in your life, and I'm going to make it drastic. I think God has quite a sense of humor, in my opinion, and he's just up there laughing. And he's like, oh, silly humans. Silly humans. But that really is the lesson. I got multiple lessons where I would say, from my perspective, people mistreated me. They took advantage of my kind heart, and were not extremely truthful with me. And there's a whole another thing into that in terms of just people, and how I really like talking about the whole concept of, knowing who you are, knowing your values, so that you can know where you're going, know what you want. And I would have to say that, a lot of these people that I've been having these, difficult situations with, they don't know themselves that well. They kind of have this discontentment in themselves. They have kind of like this wrestling within themselves. And what's interesting about that is we are constantly attracting in people, places, experiences that are reflecting where we are not free yet. And so as challenging as this has been to experience all these situations where I feel like I was done wrong, at the same time, I was having a conversation with a previous mentor over the weekend, and he was basically, helping me come to the realization is that the reason I'm attracting these type of people in is because I still am not completely freed up in terms of having this somewhat discontentment within myself, having this wrestle within myself, like battling myself, right? And I'll probably talk a little bit more about that in another episode because I've had a new realization, so to speak, and again, I won't go too far into depth with it because I think it would deserve an entire episode. And there's some steps that I need to take in order to figure some stuff out, but it might end up helping me not wrestle with myself as much and just have some more acceptance and self-love. And really that's kind of what this all comes down to. Right? I've talked about it in the past, and it does align perfectly with what I'm talking about, the woo and the do. The woo is the internal world. Woo is you could call it the spiritual side. You could call it the mindset. You could call it the energetics. You could call it just whatever is internal within yourself. And then the do is on the outside. And that's more of like the hustle, go, grind, discipline, take action, systems, the external world, right? The world that we're living in. And so the way I also look at that is that it's kind of like self-love is the woo, self-acceptance is the woo, and then the self-growth is the do. And so I'm so in line with this whole messaging of the woo and do because it can apply in so many different areas. But ultimately, we have a balance. We get to have a balance of the things that are like in our internal world and our external world. And so one of the things that I'm continually navigating and learning and growing through and navigating, as I mentioned, is that I want to continue to accept myself more, love myself more, understand myself more, and not have this discontentment within myself where I beat myself up, I'm shaming myself, I'm feeling guilty, because that's not helping anybody. And I think, again, that's the lesson here. The things that happen, they happen the way they are supposed to happen because there was a lesson to show me that the key really is the self-compassion, the self-love. And that starts with having that self-compassion for myself and then therefore having compassion for others that, again, like, quote-unquote, wronged me. But ultimately, they were just a big lesson. But, it's interesting. My previous mentor and I were having this conversation, and ultimately, at the end of the day, it's all about compassion. And so he basically told me is that when you really get to the point where you are actually freed up, where you're not holding on to this anger and resentment towards these people, because I have been. And that's kind of why I have a little bit of a hoarse voice that I'll explain here in a second. I was still very angry at them, and I think I'm still in the process of letting that go 100%. Like, I wouldn't even say anywhere close, for a variety of reasons that I don't need to get into the details. But I've been very, very angry, and I've felt numb, and I've felt disconnected, and it's very weird for me because I consider myself someone that has an open and loving heart and is so connected with so many people, and that part of me kind of got shut off through these experiences, and I wish it didn't, but at the same time, like, feel my emotions fully. Like, that's what a lot of my mentors and friends continue to impart on me, is that it's okay to be angry. It's okay to have resentment for people, because to reject that is to, like, reject the whole experience. And that's the whole point, is that, like, that's part of the painting. Just because you say, hey, I'm going to soak up the rain, I'm going to lick it up, that doesn't mean that everything is sunshine and rainbows. Obviously, it's rain, right? Sometimes rain doesn't feel good. Sometimes you're going to get clocked in the face. But it's just like experience that and feel it. Feel the anger, feel the resentment. Because to neglect it and just say, oh, everything's amazing, will just push those emotions down deeper and deeper until they just pile up, and then they start creating other things in your life. And I even noticed that with like in my physical health. I've been noticing my right shoulder has been getting very tense. Very tense. I have to say that, it's a physical manifestation of me like really holding on to this anger. Right? So that's just, I don't know. I felt called to share that with you. I always feel called to be as authentic and honest as possible. And so I've been really holding that in. I haven't even been like expressing or talking to too many people about this except for my close inner circle. And finally like kind of just started to express this out and let it out, which is what I did yesterday. So Lindsay Bell, who is a great friend of mine and a breathwork facilitator, and she's actually the one that is going to do the breathwork facilitation at the January 5th Just Grow Podcast live event. I went to one of her live events yesterday. It was a breathwork event, and it was so healing and so magical and so beautiful. Was in a room with probably, I don't know, like 15, 20 people, and we're all laying on the ground. And I've done breathwork before, but this was very somatic, and so there was just a lot of release, a lot of like yelling and screaming and crying and just getting it all out. And that's something that I hadn't really done too much at all since all this craziness in my life has been going down. But yesterday was amazing because I got to release that, release some of it at least. And, going to continue to step into that more and more of releasing and letting that stuff go, because it's important, because that like literally just like there's so many like stuffed emotions that are just stuck in you, and until you like really just let it out, it's just going to stay stuck, and it's going to continue to, like I said, just manifest in other ways, whether it's like a shoulder or other pain or disease or lots of things that can happen. So that's kind of just been my journey a little bit. And one other thing I was thinking about, I constantly lately I've been asking myself, like, what is a friend? And it was interesting because I was listening to an audio, one of my mentors today. I'm constantly coming back to his audios because repetition is the mother of all skill. And I'm the type of person that doesn't really read or listen to a bunch of different audios. I usually find the ones that I like and I go deep on those. So I've probably listened to this audio dozens of times in the last few years, and it's a long one. It's like hundreds of hours, literally. But the reason that you listen to things multiple times is because of the fact that you pick up little different things every time, because you're a different person every time you listen to something. And the thing is funny because I was like listening to this, and then all of a sudden he said something about friends, and what exactly is a friend? Because it's so funny. I've been asking that question. And he said that a true friend is someone that divides sorrow and multiplies happiness. Okay, I'll say it again. A true friend is someone that divides sorrow and exponentially increases happiness, multiplies happiness. And that's the power of like having really good people in your life, having good friends in your life, being able to cultivate good friendships. That's the power of treating people the way you want to be treated, which is what I always say. That's my only ask from this podcast, is to share these episodes and then treat others the way you want to be treated. And if you want to continue to cultivate really strong friendships that are only going to divide the sorrows, take away the nonsense out of your life, and be someone that you can talk to and that can multiply your happiness, it comes down to knowing yourself. It comes down to knowing your values and what you have to offer to other people. And you can listen to people and talk with people and soundboard with people, give them ideas, receive ideas from them. It's so powerful. It's such a, connection is it's just amazing. When we're really connected to ourselves first and foremost, by knowing ourselves, and then we can actually connect with other people that know themselves as well. And I just feel so honored and grateful for the friends that I have in my life. It's been an interesting navigation. Who are my friends now and who's my real inner circle? But it was really special because, certain people have actually even come back into my life. And I was hanging out with a couple of them yesterday who was just really some of my real close friends, and just having some great conversations, and it instantly filled my cup. Like yesterday was just, it was such a beautiful day, when even the last week was very challenging. Very, very challenging. Even Saturday was was insane. It was nuts. But then Sunday was just beautiful because I got to go to breath work. I got to go to church. I got to hang out with some friends, and just really filled my cup. And it just made me realize that I'm so much more conscious and aware of where my energy is going and how it's making me feel when I'm hanging around with people that truly care about me and I'm really connected with, because I know myself and I know them and I can add value and receive value from them. My life is infinitely better. And so again, that's why I'm so drawn in, and that's why I'm so focused on the woo and the do model, because the woo is understanding yourself. The do is actually going out and having conversations, being good at communication and having these conversations, being good at networking and building social circles and going to events and all these different things, right? It's a combination of things, but it all starts within the woo, the mindset, the energetics, the spirituality side, and everyone has a different degree of the woo, right? Whatever your woo means to you. But that's why it's powerful. That's why I'm so drawn to this podcast. That's why I'm so drawn to having great conversations with people. That's why I'm so drawn to putting on events that open up a space for people to come and connect and enjoy each other's company and have conversations that people are not willing to have, and being able to connect and just have truthful, honest, authentic conversations. I truly believe that that's what it's all about here in this world, and just showing compassion for ourselves first and foremost, and then showing compassion for other people all the time, even if they, quote unquote, hurt you. It's still, they even talk about how Jesus, my mentor was sharing this with me, is the guy that was nailing his foot into the cross. Jesus didn't have resentment for that guy. He still showed him love and compassion as he was nailing a nail into his foot into the cross. That's true compassion. That's why he was free. But you really got to believe it. You got to feel it. It's not just a line. And that's what you go through. When you go through the tougher times, you get to experience that, and your ability to handle emotional stress, your capacity to handle emotional stress continues to increase. And the more that you can have that capacity, the more love that you can share and show people, because you truly believe it and you truly feel it. So that's kind of the story that was on my heart. I'll close out the loop with this painting. So someone brought to my attention when I asked them about this painting, and they said, "Is it the same person?" Is the old guy carrying the briefcase underneath the umbrella the same person as the little kid just dancing in the rain? And I think, again, it is kind of like the duality, and we come back to the woo and the do, right? The little kid is kind of more on the woo side, where he's just hey, let's go. Let's end it. Let's have some fun. And then we live in this physical world where we got stuff to do. We get stuff done. We got to go to work, and we got to provide value and receive financials for it, because we live in this world where things cost money, and things aren't necessarily free. We can't just meditate all day long. We can't just play in the rain all day long, but we certainly can bring that inner child into everything that we do and do what we're passionate about, but also make sure we have a business plan around it. We have a marketing plan around it, so that we can actually turn it into something that can make us money while being fulfilled and helping a lot of people. So that's why I'm just really grateful that I have this podcast. That's why I'm grateful for the events that we throw. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. So again, if you guys do want to join us on January 5th, head on over to www.justgrowpodcast.com. Link will be down in the show notes. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I appreciate you. I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. And then, as I mentioned before, if you're new here, make sure and subscribe, leave a review. That always helps us significantly. And then our really only ask is to share these episodes, share our Instagram content at Nico Arapkiles, NIKOARAPKILES, and treat others the way you want to be treated. That makes this world a great place. All right. Love y'all. Peace out. Keep growing trees.